Hello! Thank you for listening. My name is Katie Sill, and I am the Academic Advisor for the University of Alaska Southeast Sitka campus. During the spring of 2022, I worked with a local radio station, KIFW, to produce a series of episodes that feature different opportunities for students at the UAS Sitka campus. This episode that you are listening to was recorded on February 9th. It is all about a new biology course called One Health Perspectives, Marine Mammals of Alaska. I was joined by Professors Marnie Chapman and Ellen Chenoweth, both of whom participated in the development and design of this course. Now, without further delay, here is our interview. Introduce yourself.
Oh yeah, hi, I'm Marnie Chapman. I've been with UAS here in Sitka for, about 25 or 30 years, quite a while. I actually started out teaching an intertidal biology class here. Now I teach human anatomy and physiology, and I also teach microbiology this year. I've taught a number of different things, and I'm just really excited to be working on this new class. I'm eager to tell people about it.
That's great. And Ellen?
Hi, I'm Ellen Chenoweth, and I'm a research advising and mentoring professional with the University of Alaska Fairbanks, actually, but I'm based here in Sitka. So I've got a pretty cool role because it combines a lot of different things, a little bit of research, a little bit of course development, a little bit of mentoring and helping develop research projects for students. And I'm also the director of the RAISER program, which is our Rural Alaska Students in One Health research program. And we've got a couple Sitka students who are doing that this year. It's for our dual enrollment high school students. So if you guys are listening, shout out to you. But yeah, it's through this other role, this research advising and mentoring professional role, that I've gotten involved in the development of this course.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about this course that you guys have worked to develop. Now, this is a big team effort, I understand. So it's not just you two in-house. It expands far and wide across the state with many researchers and professionals that are all centered on marine biology and marine mammal care and research. So let me do a little bit of a description about this course. It is Biology 193 for those of you who are looking to register. It introduces students to marine mammals of Alaska and the interdependence of human, animal, and environmental health. Topics in this class will include an overview of Alaska's marine mammals, indigenous perspectives, and anatomical and physiological adaptations to the marine environment, agents of disease, and other health risks for marine mammals, as well as linkages between marine mammal and human health. So all of this information is going to culminate in a demonstration of a necropsy technique on a seal and whale virtually to help students learn how to assess the health and well-being of wildlife. Did I do it justice, or do we want to dive in and get into the more exciting aspects of that class?
Yeah, that's a great description. I think it really encapsulates a lot of the different parts of the class, and we can kind of talk a little bit more about each of those. But I think some people might be familiar with our the necropsies that happen each year during Whale Fest, and that's kind of what this class grew out of. Maggie Castellini up at University of Alaska Fairbanks has led some of those necropsies the last few years, and we were looking at a way to kind of build around those and provide a little bit of extra knowledge and content for students, and also to provide an opportunity for students who can't participate in necropsies in person and to open it up more for distance students and students around the region.
Well, right, and Whale Fest only happens in the fall, am I right? Mm-hmm. So this is a spring opportunity for students or community members who are just really into marine mammals and what's going on in the ocean and just can't wait a whole nother year for November to roll around.
Yeah, and I think spring will be a great time to take this class. I mean, especially in Sitka here with the herring, and we get a lot of marine mammals coming into town, and people have a lot of questions about them. So this would be a great time to kind of connect with other people that are interested in those same topics and connect with experts and kind of learn a full spectrum of information about marine mammals.
I also imagine that the folks who do wildlife tours around town, like during the summers and the tourist season, would appreciate having just a little more insight on the animals that they're pointing out to our visitors and be able to give them a little more in-depth information should they be asking questions like, well, what kind of stuff do they eat? Or where all do they travel throughout the course of their lifetime? Those kinds of things might be of interest to our visitors. And, you really want to present yourself as an expert when you're giving a wildlife tour. So talk to me a little bit about how this course was developed.
Yeah, so the grant that I work for through the University of Alaska Fairbanks is the BLAST grant, Biomedical Learning and Student Training. And it's focused on this idea of the One Health concept. And that's right in the name of this course. This idea of One Health just means that human, animal, and environmental health are really inextricably linked together. And so it's a way of doing research that looks for those links and appreciates the ways in which, in this case, marine mammal health affects human health, can tell us a lot about environmental health. And so the BLAST program is really looking for more opportunities to expand on that model for students and in education, because it's been something that has really resonated well, especially with rural students, because we're so connected to our environment in rural areas. And so that's why BLAST is interested in helping to support the development of this program. We have a Title III grant at UAS that is involved in educational development as well. And so they've also pitched in to kind of help support the development of this course, which has allowed us to bring in really a lot of different experts to provide different perspectives on marine mammals.
Let's talk a little bit about who those experts are, because as we mentioned before, it's been a team effort to bring in sources of knowledge from all walks of life. So who are some of the folks that you're working with?
Yeah, well, some of the key players in developing the course have been Jan Straley. And I think sort of she goes without introduction in many ways, but she has been such an important force in not only research of whales, but in driving home this whole concept of education about marine mammals and getting people involved with marine mammals. So she's been a real driving force behind the course, and we have her enthusiasm and expertise built right into the course. She'll be a big part of it. Another person who's been real important in helping us shape the course is Mike Miller. It's been extremely important to us to bring in Indigenous perspectives for the course and make sure that that's built into every aspect of the course. And Mike has been our guide in doing that. You mentioned folks from throughout Alaska that are involved. Maggie Castellini has been also key in putting the course together. She has expertise in toxicology and marine mammal health, lots of expertise in marine mammal adaptations. She's been a leader for Necropsies, for the Whale Fest workshops. So we have her also building the course and helping us with the course. And we have Stacy Golden as well, who's a high school science teacher, was teaching at the middle school for a while and now is high school science teacher extraordinaire and really active with the Marine Mammal Stranding Network. So she brings in all her expertise in teaching and reaching out to different student groups, as well as this tremendous enthusiasm and knowledge for getting people involved with necropsies. I've seen her conduct necropsies, and it's, to just feel that enthusiasm in the room. I know sometimes people are like, oh, necropsies, dissections, a little bit scary. But when you're actually there and you're watching people get involved with things, get their hands on things, seeing these things firsthand, it's just a really fascinating experience. And so we just have those sorts of people to draw on and many more.
Now, we have talked about the scientific background of these experts that are coming in, but you also mentioned the real desire to incorporate Indigenous knowledge. Can you talk a little bit more about why that is a key piece to this course?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, we have this idea of the One Health perspective that kind of came out of veterinary medicine originally. It really, I think, resonates very well with Indigenous perspectives. And so we knew that was going to be an important piece to this course. And so, yeah, we actually just videotaped our first discussion with some local elders. So we had Harvey Kitka and Willis Osbakken come and have a conversation about the Indigenous relationship with the environment, different harvesting practices. And so that'll be a piece of it. Mike Miller is also going to record a little lecture today about some of his perspectives. He's been involved in management as well as harvesting. And so we're really excited to bring in those perspectives and also just to have, Mike's feedback on some of the other aspects of the course as well has been really valuable.
Yeah, I think observation is such a key part of science. And if you want to talk to the folks who have the deepest observations and observations over generations, it's really important to have the voices of people who have been involved on this land for a long time, since time immemorial, and those voices are so important to understanding what's going on.
And especially when we think about, impacts on human health, we really want to emphasize the importance of, nutritional health, cultural health that is involved with, traditional harvest of marine mammals and crafts with marine mammals and art that comes from marine mammal harvest as well. So those are all really important areas that impact human health in our region here.
Now, you mentioned that a lot of these experts and elders are recording lectures. Tell me a little bit more about how that course is going to function.
Well, the course is an online-based course, so it's asynchronous, which means that folks can take the material in the course anytime that they want to. They can listen to the recordings, they can listen to the more traditional presentations through PowerPoint, they can watch the videos that are there at whatever time that fits in for them. So it's an online course in that sense, though we also plan to have some live sessions as well. I know Ellen and I are thinking to record our sessions live, so if people want to join in for online discussions that are, online in live time sorts of discussions from wherever they're at, that's also going to be an option too.
So it really expands the availability of this course beyond just local Sitka residents. It could go all across the state and even down south should people be interested, right?
Yeah, absolutely. If your grandma's always asking you questions about this crazy place that you live and wants to know more whale facts or something, like maybe take this class with her, or, anyone that's kind of curious about marine mammals up here in Alaska.
Can you tell me a little bit about some of the coursework that students can expect when they sign up for this class?
Yeah, I think the coursework will be fun for the students who sign up for the class. We have it set up, divided into kind of thirds. So a third of it we're thinking will be online discussions through a discussion board format. So again, wanting to bring in that asynchronous component so everybody can fit it into their schedule. So reflections on what they might be reading or hearing about from people. We also plan on about a third more traditional with quizzes and worksheet sorts of things. Nothing terribly intimidating. These would be open book quizzes and worksheets, but based on, show us what you know about the material that you've been reading about. And then the part of it that I think I'm especially excited about is the project, which is also about a third. And projects could be as simple as a traditional academic paper, a short paper, or it can be whatever the student really wants to dive into. If they want to do an interview with an elder or a family member and do that, that would be fine. You had mentioned training for folks who work as naturalists during the summer. And I used to work on the boats as a naturalist for about 10 years, actually. And wow, having background just to talk about with folks is so important. So if someone wanted to take the course and focus on preparing something they wanted to talk about in their jobs, that would be another great thing to do. So it's wide open. I'm fully open to student ideas.
So part of your role, Marnie, in the course is if a student comes to you with a project idea and says, I want to make a video about, or I want to do research about, your role would be to work with them and make sure that they have the resources that are available to them so that they can really bring that project to life and explore whatever topics might be of interest to them.
Absolutely.
So this course is going to be a late start course for the spring semester. It's going to start on March 1st, so there's still time to register. And it will end on April 30th, so it's about a 2-month course. Students will have the opportunities to listen to lectures from various experts across the board, as well as engage in virtual necropsies. Ellen, can you tell us a little more about how a virtual necropsy works?
Yeah, we've got a couple different formats for it. So we'll have a virtual necropsy, which will be kind of video-based with seals, and that'll be done by Maggie Castellini up in Fairbanks. And then we've got the virtual 4D whale necropsy, which is a new project that I've been working on this year with Jan Straley and Josh Houston.
Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so last March, there was a whale that washed up on Kruzof Beach, kind of down there where a lot of people do some surfing. And we were able to get Joshua Houston. He's, his business is J Factory, and he does a lot of 3D modeling and drone work. And so he was able to actually 3D model the whale as we were performing the necropsy. So that allows our students or anyone who's interested to kind of go in and look at different views of the whale as it's being taken apart, and you can actually look inside different cavities of it, and then it's sort of a guided, annotated kind of tour of the whale where you're asked to assess different parts for trauma or to try to determine the cause of death, and you're kind of guided through that process of building a report about what you think happened to this whale.
And this is currently a free resource, right?
Yeah, so this is again funded by the BLAST program, and so it's free and publicly available. You can kind of go in and through the Whale Lab website at UAS, and you can kind of poke around yourself, but it'll also be part of this class as well.
And I'm sure that having the class and the instructors to kind of fall back on to help with that walkthrough instead of stumbling around trying to figure out what am I clicking on, what am I looking at, what does it mean in the big picture would be a great resource as well as part of the class. But you and I were talking when this project was being developed, and you mentioned that this is kind of a one-of-the-kind thing.
Yeah, yep. We're actually just in the process of publishing it in a research journal this week. So yeah, it's innovative. It's new to be able to do a 3D model. We've got, some museums have 3D models of skeletons of whales, for example, but this is sort of a whale that is still flesh and blood, and you can look at different organs and just kind of feel what it's like to be out there and to feel some of the confusion and chaos that happens on a dead whale, and how scientists kind of sort through that and manage that uncertainty and all the things that you can learn from a dead marine mammal. I mean, I always like to just think about, I'm a whale biologist, and we spend a lot of our time peering at whales through binoculars and trying to follow them in boats as they disappear under the water. And just to be able to walk right up to a whale, gather samples from it, analyze those samples, it's really a humbling experience. And I'm really glad that we've been able to kind of use this 3D model to bring more people into that experience, to learn from these animals that can teach us so much about the ocean. Yeah, and it is a humpback whale that we did an necropsy on. It's a full-size humpback whale. So again, kind of unusual opportunity for even scientists to get to examine.
And speaking of necropsy, we have resources at the University of Alaska Southeast Sitka campus where we occasionally are able to do live necropsies in-house for people of the community. Marnie, you were mentioning that experience a little bit earlier. Can you speak a little bit more about what it was like and the purpose of that necropsy exercise?
Sure, yeah. Stacy Golden had a group there, a couple different groups. She did a couple different workshops as a part of Whale Fest. And again, the excitement in the room was just palpable, and being able to get close to these animals, which we usually just catch glimpses of from boats, but to be right there and to look not only at the outside of the animal but the inside. And I have the privilege in the course of being able to talk about anatomy and physiology and marine adaptations, and to actually see these adaptations. It wasn't a matter of people standing back. It was a matter of people getting in there and getting their hands on things and learning some of the incredible things. Let me just give you one example. One of the things that Stacey showed us is something called the bulbous aorta. We all know where our aorta is, right?
That's in the heart.
Right, coming off the heart. The big blood vessel that takes blood to the whole rest of your body is really different in marine mammals. It's this elastic bulbous thing. And marine mammals have incredible adaptations for their heart rate. Like a blue whale's heart rate can drop down to 2 beats per minute sometimes when it's diving. And you try and think about how would you survive something like that, right? We're just not built that way. But this structure, which sounds kind of technical, the bulbous aorta, is this elastic thing that the aorta has evolved into in marine mammals so that it can sustain the force of blood flow throughout the body because of its elasticity in between these long spaced heartbeats when marine mammals are diving. So to just be able to pull together all these different things about marine mammals and then see them virtually, but sort of in person through these necropsies, I think is an exciting thing to do.
And I'm not a big person who likes to get in dirty with blood and dissections and stuff. So for me, the virtual option to be able to do it through a computer is a lot more palatable for me. I know I'm not gonna get sick or faint, which is a good alternative for people like me who can be kind of squeamish. Ellen, did you have something?
Yeah, I was just wanted to build off a little bit of what Marnie was talking about. I mean, that's such a great example of an adaptation. And what really drew me to marine mammals in the first place to make a career out of studying them is just that they're mammals like us. They're so closely related to us. We have so much in common with them. And yet they live in this environment that is as different from land as Mars, more different than Mars, right? They're basically extraterrestrials. They don't live on land. And yet, just to see how they've been able to adapt to that environment it's really, I think it's a fascinating study, and it really opens up kind of so many possibilities of how our environment is able to shape different animals, and I just find it really inspiring. So I think, we haven't mentioned this yet, but there are no prerequisites for this course. We want it to be open to, high school students might be interested, community members, college students that want to take something that maybe feels a little bit more practical than your typical biology class. Like, do take this class, learn about how marine mammals affect the environment, maybe before you jump into learning the details of mitosis or something like that. So, yeah, we're hoping to really engage a diverse student population.
I want to sort of call out to one other student population that I know is out there because I work with them all the time, and that's the healthcare-oriented students. Mm-hmm. And, One Health is a health class. It's a different way of thinking about health, but there's sections on diseases in marine mammals and environmental effects for marine mammals and how marine mammals impact human health. So I think this kind of a mind shift in the way to think about health is really important, and I think it's a super interesting course for people who are interested in health.
Plus, it just sounds like a lot of fun. I mean, we're out by the water all the time here in Southeast Alaska. It could be just for your own enjoyment to be able to look at the animals that you see off the bow of the ship, or I'm not a boat person. So, I mean, just being able to look and say, oh, I know a little more about that animal than I did before, and I can share that knowledge with my friends and family should they ask, or, at a party. It's a fun party tidbit that you could share. Thank you so much for listening today. It's been a joy. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you, Marnie.
Thanks, Katie.
Thanks for having us in.